know you really are excited about in this reimagined leadership is really passion and empathy as a rally cry to lead with a purpose. I'm reminded, and I got to tell you, and congrats on the 85th anniversary. I went and watched. There was a documentary about Cipla's legacy with the HIV, and yes. Dr. Hamid and that whole bringing, really expensive HIV drugs to, where it's needed the most. And Umang, I got to tell you, I still get goosebumps of just the passion and the mission and the drive to make a difference in a part of the world and communities that so desperately need it. And I distinctly remember this comment that was, the drugs are available where is needed the least, and countries or markets that have all the resources, and it's not available where it's needed the most. And it just drove Cipla's purpose to fundamentally make a difference. Talk about that passion, talk about that empathy as a rallying cry to really make a difference in the next 85 years of Cipla's evolution.
I think you're absolutely right. I think your own individual passion is driven by the purpose. So I think caring for life, and Cipla had this very big mandate of making sure that no one was denied drugs. And I see it in action, David. And this is what cultures, when we say it's an 85-year-old company, there's a culture created within the organization. So when COVID struck, I don't think anyone worried about, what drugs were there or not. Cipla just moved to get as many drugs as possible. To make sure that COVID was contained. And it meant we went into hand sanitizers, which we've never done in our lives, and sign up, licensing agreements with large companies. So the company works with its heart, and I think that heart is the purpose. And everyone has individually done that. I think the bigger thing that I would say is that the culture comes because everyone is motivated and not reprimanded to fall in line with actions that actually get the company to live its purpose. And I want to go back, David, and it's a little slightly longer answer, but it's important that we do it. So when I joined the organization, one of my first interactions with members of the board and the promoters was about just the purpose of Cipla. And they came and told me that, look, if you come back 5 years later and you tell us we have the highest EBITDA of the industry, we're going to applaud you, but we're going to say you lost the soul of our company, right? So for me as a leader, it also gives me the ability, right, as the person leading this organization, to have flexibility to make sure that we live our purpose as against just keep improving our financial metrics, right? And I think that's a very big, empowering sort of a position that any CEO can have. And it's this culture, it's this empowerment that goes down the line in Cipla, right? So if I said I have an EBITDA goal and the company says we have a purpose that we need to leave, what would eventually win. So it's a little bit of managing your stakeholders, about being very clear of what the company stands for.
You just celebrated 4 years on the job. My question of you is, in this turbulent time, we're talking about reimagined leadership, what have you been most excited about that's in this past year? And then the other side of the coin is, what are you most looking forward to in your 5th year in the job?
So so let me answer the second one. What am I looking forward to? And I think it's irrespective of whether we had COVID or didn't have COVID. When we go through our tenures as in some of the roles that we've had, there comes a time when you reset your aspirations, right? When you reset your goals. And I think for me, that time probably came maybe towards the end of last year, where I knew I was close to finishing 4. But I said, what a wonderful time to rethink of what we want to do. And then it dawned on me that every one of the healthcare business models across the world would be models that would eventually get disrupted. And David, you and I have been chatting about this over a period of time, about how it's important to move into some of these opportunities before time, right? And I think so for myself, I set a new aspiration. It was the aspiration of being a different company, about trying to make sure that we reach patients directly and more and sooner, right? It was this whole aspiration of digital and data transformation that could happen. in the healthcare system, in our organization, while making sure that our purpose of caring for life stayed together. So I think that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for making an 85-year-old company more future ready, right, for the challenges ahead. And I think personally, David, this gratitude for the employees that we had for turning up when we had COVID as a crisis, right? Everyone on the next day was in the manufacturing site, and they all worked with their heart. And I just think that I've realized the power of passion, the power of people bonding together to make a difference to society. It's come out long. So that's what I've been fortunate to see. And I'm hoping to just create this transformation in the future.
So I know during this quarantine, you've been quarantining yourself and your family in New Jersey. And how are you keeping your sanity? Are you exercising more? Are you able to get out and enjoy a little bit of the Northeast sunshine? What's keeping you busy outside of work these days?
The first thing is to make sure the decorum in the house stays. So I'm trying to keep away from the rest of the family so that I don't get in their way. That's one. But the second thing is, I think it's more about connecting, personally connecting with people within the organization, with your friend circle. It's quite amazing that the number of conversations I've had with my peer groups, either from my engineering school, my business school, has been actually magnified, has multiplied many, many times. And you learn so much with those interactions. But it's also about just having the security of being in your family that keeps you going, right? I mean, if your family is away from you, you don't have that, you always have that worry in your mind. So new interests, David. Of course, we've all joined weddings and birthdays and, through Zoom, become Zoomies. But I developed a few new interests. I developed an interest for gardening. I never knew I'd eventually get down to doing it. It's actually quite a physical exercise by itself. I've started rowing a bit more on the machine and less outside, right? I've never done that before in my life. So, this whole crisis teaches you new things, but great. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity.
I've heard gardening is very therapeutic, right? With all the anxiety that we all have, when you garden, when you immerse yourself in a passion, you just gotta get a chance to, go through digital detox and disengage from all the stuff we feel like we have to do to some things that really enjoy doing. Oman, great to catch up. Great to talk to you about Reimagine Leadership. I love this Connexions series that you guys are doing, and I can't wait to hear, its progress with every part of the globe that CIPLA touches. So thanks for a great conversation.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Thank you for taking time on. Lovely interacting with you again.
Likewise.